There are women listening to me right now, and deep in your heart, you have always known that you are different. You try to fit in. You try to be normal. You try to silence that strange hunger in your spirit. But no matter how hard you tried, life kept separating you. Misunderstood, misjudged, misrepresented. And you wondered, Lord, why is my path like this? Listen to me carefully. Not every woman is ordinary. There are chosen women, and only the chosen carry these hidden marks. The first mark is the mark of divine dissatisfaction. You can achieve what others celebrate and still feel empty. You can enter rooms others pray for and still feel like something is missing. It is not pride, it is not ingratitude, it is destiny calling you higher. Chosen women cannot settle. There is a holy unrest inside you, a whisper that says there is more, and until you find that more, nothing truly satisfies you. The second mark is unusual warfare. Have you noticed? The battles around your life are not small. From childhood, strange oppositions, delays that don't make sense, attacks that seem excessive for your level. Hear me. Hell does not fight what it fears not. The intensity of your warfare is a revelation of the weight of your assignment. Oil attracts opposition, and when a woman carries destiny, darkness tries to negotiate her future. The third mark is a heart that breaks for what others ignore. While others laugh, something makes you weep. While others scroll, you pray. While others compete, you intercede. There are burdens in your spirit that did not come from your environment. They came from God. Chosen women carry nations in their wombs of prayer. They carry families in their tears. Compassion is not weakness. It is a sign of divine partnership. The fourth mark is loneliness that pushes you to God. Let me speak gently. Many chosen women walk seasons alone, not because they are undesirable, not because they are forgotten, but because God hides what he is preparing. There are conversations you cannot have with everyone. There are revelations you cannot share in every circle. So heaven creates space around you, not to punish you, but to build intimacy. Your loneliness was an altar. And finally, the fifth mark is resilience that refuses to die. You have been betrayed, yet you still love. You have been disappointed, yet you still believe. You have cried silently, yet you still worship. There is something about you that refuses to quit. That is not stubbornness, that is covenant. When God marks a woman, he engraves endurance into her spirit. You bend, but you do not break. You fall, but you rise again. Listen to me. If these marks are in your life, do not cause your difference. Do not envy those whose paths look easier. Oil is processed, gold is refined, and chosen women are forged. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being shaped, and the same God who marked you in secret will announce you in public. But until then, stay consecrated. Guard your heart, protect your fire, because when the time comes, the world will not just see a woman, they will see a vessel. And when heaven rests upon a woman who knows she is chosen, generations are altered. Lift your head, strengthen your heart. The mark is not a curse. It is proof that you were selected. There is a kind of dissatisfaction that does not come from greed, comparison, or pride. It is not the restlessness of someone who wants more money, more applause, or more recognition. It is deeper than ambition. It is older than your experiences. It is the silent witness within your spirit that keeps whispering, this is not all. You can achieve what others are praying for and still feel a holy discomfort. You can sit at tables people envy and still sense that you are out of alignment. That dissatisfaction is not a flaw in your personality. It is a signature of destiny. Divine dissatisfaction is the evidence that your spirit has seen something your eyes have not yet encountered. Before you were aware of it, God placed within you a picture of purpose, a standard of alignment, a hunger for impact, and because that picture exists within you, anything less feels incomplete. It is why you struggle to celebrate what does not carry meaning. It is why mediocrity irritates you. It is why you cannot remain in environments that suffocate your growth. Something inside you revolts against smallness, not because you despise humble beginnings, but because you recognize that you were not created to remain there. This dissatisfaction often isolates you. Others may misunderstand it and call you ungrateful. They may say you are never satisfied, that nothing is ever enough for you. They may not understand why you cannot simply relax and enjoy what you have. But what they do not see is that your spirit is responding to a higher calling. When God plants a divine assignment within a woman, he also plants an intolerance for stagnation. You cannot comfortably remain in cycles that do not reflect your potential. Even when you try to convince yourself to settle, peace will leave you. There are moments where you will question yourself. You will wonder if something is wrong with you. You will observe other women who appear content with simpler dreams, and you will ask why your heart burns for something you cannot fully explain. But divine dissatisfaction is not about comparison. It is about alignment. It is the tension between who you are now and who you have been called to become. It is the friction that pushes you toward transformation. Without it, you will remain where you are. Without it, you would accept comfort over calling. This kind of dissatisfaction also refines your desires. It forces you to examine what truly matters. You begin to lose appetite for superficial pursuits. Attention without purpose feels empty. Relationships without depth feel draining. Achievements without impact feel hollow. You begin to crave substance. You desire growth, not just visibility. You desire intimacy with God, not just religious activity. You desire influence that heals and builds, not influence that only impresses. That hunger is sacred. Divine dissatisfaction is often accompanied by seasons of stretching. God will allow you to taste success but withhold fulfillment. He will permit progress but delay completion. Not to frustrate you, but to deepen your capacity. When you feel that tension, it is because he's enlarging your vision. He is training your heart to carry more than you currently hold. If he satisfied you too early, you would stop too soon. So he allows that quiet ache to remain, not as torment, but as propulsion. There is also a refining work in it. Dissatisfaction exposes compromise. It highlights areas where you have tolerated less than your standard. It reveals patterns that need to break and mindsets that need to shift. You begin to notice when your environment does not match your destiny. You become sensitive to distractions. Your spirit becomes alert to anything that threatens your growth. This awareness can feel uncomfortable, but it is protective. Sometimes divine dissatisfaction will make you walk away from what looks good because you sense it is not right. It will give you the courage to release opportunities that do not align with your calling. It will prevent you from attaching your identity to temporary platforms. It will teach you to wait rather than rush into premature fulfillment. That restraint is not weakness. It is wisdom formed by purpose. The woman marked by divine dissatisfaction is rarely idle. Even in seasons of obscurity, she is preparing. Even when doors are closed, she is developing. The hunger within her refuses passivity. She reads, she prays, she learns, she grows, not because someone is watching, but because something inside her refuses stagnation. She understands that the ache she feels is not meant to paralyze her, but to move her. This dissatisfaction also creates resilience. When circumstances attempt to define her limits, that inner voice resists. When people underestimate her, that inner standard remains. She cannot accept a narrative that contradicts what she senses within. Even when she experiences delay, the dissatisfaction keeps hope alive. It tells her that the current chapter is not the final one. Over time, she learns to interpret this holy unrest correctly. She stops fighting it and begins to steward it. She channels it into prayer instead of frustration. She allows it to push her closer to God instead of further from him. She understands that the dissatisfaction is not demanding more from people, it is inviting more from her. It is calling her into deeper consecration, sharper focus, and greater courage. It is the quiet reminder that she was designed for alignment, for impact, for purpose that cannot be reduced to comfort or convenience. There is a kind of warfare that follows destiny. It is not ordinary resistance. It is not the common challenges that everyone faces. It is targeted. It is persistent. It is disproportionate to your age, your level, or your current visibility. And many times you sit quietly and wonder why your life has felt like a battlefield when others seem to walk on calm ground. What you must understand is that unusual warfare is often a revelation of unusual calling. From early seasons of your life, there were battles that did not make sense, confusion without cause, opposition without provocation, delays that seemed engineered, misunderstandings that altered relationships. It felt as though something was constantly attempting to disrupt your peace, your identity, your confidence. And because you did not yet understand purpose, you interpreted warfare as rejection. You thought something was wrong with you. But warfare is not always a sign of error. Sometimes it is confirmation. When a woman carries weight in the spirit, resistance intensifies, not because she has failed, but because she matters. The enemy does not invest resources in what poses no threat. He does not attack emptiness. He attacks potential. He attacks calling. He attacks what has the capacity to shift atmospheres and alter generations. The intensity around your life is not random. It is reactive. Unusual warfare often shows up in patterns, repeated cycles that try to exhaust you, opportunities that almost manifest and then collapse, relationships that begin with promise but end in pain, moments of breakthrough followed by seasons of pressure. It feels like you are constantly rebuilding, constantly recovering, constantly defending your peace. And if you are not spiritually discerning, you may internalize these patterns as personal failure. But discernment changes perspective. It teaches you that some battles are strategic. They are designed to wear down your faith, to distort your identity, to make you question your worth. If the enemy cannot stop your destiny, he attempts to weaken your confidence. If he cannot destroy your calling, he tries to distract you from it. That is why the warfare often targets your mind. Thoughts of inadequacy, thoughts of comparison, thoughts of surrender. It is an invisible assault intended to create visible retreat. There is also warfare around your purity, your focus, your discipline. Distractions come disguised as opportunities. Attachments come disguised as love. Compromise comes disguised as convenience. The pressure is subtle but consistent, because if your power cannot be destroyed, it can be diluted, and dilution is sometimes more dangerous than destruction. Unusual warfare can also create isolation. You may find that very few people understand the depth of your battles. When you try to explain the heaviness, it sounds exaggerated. When you describe the resistance, it feels intangible. So you learn to fight quietly. You learn to pray silently. You learn to endure without applause. That solitude is painful, but it also strengthens your spiritual muscles. It forces you to depend on God in ways that comfort never would. The danger of unusual warfare is not the battle itself, it is misinterpretation. If you interpret warfare as evidence that you are cursed, you will shrink. If you interpret it as punishment, you will withdraw. But if you recognize it as confirmation of value, you will stand differently. You will fight with awareness instead of fear. You will guard your mind. You will protect your heart. You will become intentional about your environment. Warfare also develops authority. Every battle survived increases your discernment. Every attack endured sharpens your prayer life. Every season of pressure builds spiritual stamina. You begin to recognize patterns quicker. You respond faster. You recover stronger. The same situations that once broke you no longer have permission to define you. There are women whose lives look intense, not because they are dramatic, but because they are marked. Their dreams are contested. Their peace is tested. Their loyalty is examined, their faith is stretched, but through it all, something within them refuses surrender. That refusal is not arrogance, it is revelation. It is the understanding that what is being fought must be valuable. Unusual warfare demands unusual discipline. You cannot afford carelessness. You cannot afford constant emotional reactions. You cannot afford to be spiritually asleep. Awareness becomes survival. Prayer becomes strategy. Obedience becomes protection. And slowly you begin to see that the warfare did not come to announce your weakness, but to reveal your strength. There is a strength that cannot be taught in comfort. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself with noise. It is forged in private battles, in silent tears, in moments where no one claps and no one notices. Unbreakable resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the refusal to surrender to it. It is the quiet decision to rise again when everything in you feels tired. There are women who have been stretched beyond what they thought they could endure. Betrayal from people they trusted, rejection from places they invested, their loyalty, disappointment from prayers they believed would be answered differently, and yet somehow they are still standing. Not because it did not hurt, but because something within them would not die. Resilience is not emotional numbness. You felt it, you cried, you questioned, you wrestled with God in moments of confusion. There were nights when your faith felt fragile. There were mornings when getting out of bed required courage. But even in those fragile moments, you did not completely let go. That is resilience. The ability to feel broken and still choose belief. The ability to be wounded and still choose love. There are people who assume resilience means you are unaffected. They look at your composure and think you are strong by default. They do not see the process behind your stability. They do not see the inner conversations where you had to talk yourself out of quitting. They do not see the discipline it took to control your reactions when you were misunderstood. They only see the outcome, not the endurance. Unbreakable resilience is often developed through repetition. You fall, you rise. You trust, you are hurt, you trust again. You hope, you are delayed, you hope again. Each cycle attempts to harden you, to make you cynical, to make you guarded. But instead of becoming bitter, you become wiser. Instead of closing your heart completely, you refine your boundaries. Instead of abandoning your faith, you deepen it. And even when exhaustion whispers, even when doubt tries to revisit old wounds, even when fear attempts to remind you of past pain, there is a voice within that responds differently now. It does not panic the way it used to. It does not collapse the way it once did. It steadies itself. It breathes. It recalibrates, because resilience has become part of your nature.